Have you ever noticed how life rarely asks your permission before it flips everything upside down? One phone call, one betrayal, one unexpected turn, and the world you thought was stable suddenly feels like quicksand. That gut punch moment when you whisper to yourself, "I didn't see this coming." We've all been there. Carl Jung believed that within chaos lies hidden order. The Stoics agreed. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that loss is nothing but change, and change is nature's delight. Yet when disruption strikes, we resist. Why? Because our minds cling to permanence, to the illusion that tomorrow will look like today. When that illusion breaks, fear takes over. The danger isn't in the change itself. It's in what happens when fear blinds us. We panic, we overreact, we make decisions from desperation instead of clarity. Seneca warned that we suffer more in imagination than in reality, and sudden change proves him right. Most of our suffering comes not from the event, but from the storm we create inside our minds. This is where Stoicism offers a way forward. By practicing amore fiat, the love of fate, we don't just endure disruption, we transform it into fuel. By separating what's in our control from what is not, we reclaim power. By holding steady to reason, we prevent external storms from becoming internal chaos. The warning signs are easy to spot. Sleepless nights replaying what-ifs, spiraling anger, the urge to control what cannot be controlled. These are signals, not of weakness, but of opportunity. Opportunity to pause, to realign, to rise above reaction. And here's the empowering truth. Sudden change isn't your enemy. It's your teacher. It strips away illusions, forces growth, and calls you to a higher strength. As Epictetus said, the chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control and which have to do with the choices I actually control. So if you've ever felt life unravel in your hands, stay with me. These 7 Stoic strategies may not stop the winds of change, but they will anchor you so deeply that no storm can sink you. Disruption will come, that's guaranteed. But with Stoic strategies, you stop drowning in resistance and start navigating with purpose. Number 1. Zoom out for perspective. Have you ever noticed how small problems can feel like the end of the world when you're trapped inside them? A rude comment, a failed plan, a broken relationship. It feels as if life itself is collapsing. In those moments, your vision narrows. The problem fills the entire screen of your mind, and you forget that it's just one scene in a much larger story. I've felt it myself, lying awake at night, replaying one mistake again and again, as if my entire worth was reduced to that single flaw. And yet, when I looked back weeks or months later, I realized it was only a ripple in a vast ocean of experiences. That's the power of perspective. When you zoom in, life crushes you. When you zoom out, you see its true scale. Carl Jung taught that the unconscious exaggerates what we obsess over, while Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that time is like a river, made up of events. Both were pointing at the same truth. We suffer most not from reality itself, but from how tightly we grip it. The warning signs are clear. When you can't stop thinking about small slights, when anger or shame lingers far beyond its moment, when one bad day feels like a bad life. The danger is obvious too. You lose your inner balance. Anxiety grows, resentment spreads, and you forget that storms always pass. But step back for a moment. Imagine looking at Earth from space. From that height, even mountains shrink to shadows, even wars become invisible. Your life, with all its worries, is a single blink in the universe's timeline. That thought isn't meant to depress you, it's meant to free you. In our modern lives, perspective is a superpower. When your boss criticizes you, ask, will this matter in 5 years? When plans fall apart, remind yourself, change is the law of nature, not a punishment. Zooming out doesn't erase pain, but it puts pain in its proper place. So here's the challenge. The next time you feel trapped in a storm, pull back. Picture yourself as the painter stepping away from the canvas. See the whole design, not just the dark corner. Because when you zoom out, you realize that life has always been bigger than your worst moments. And that is where freedom begins, not in controlling the world, but in expanding your sight. The wider your perspective, the lighter your burdens. Zoom out, and suddenly, you're unshakable. Number 2, focus on what you can control. Imagine standing on a stormy shore. The waves are crashing, the sky's dark, the winds howl around you. No matter how much you scream at the sea to calm down, it won't. You cannot command the storm, but you can choose whether to anchor your boat or let it drift into chaos. That's the difference between what is in your control and what never will be. Every day, we waste energy shouting at the waves of life. Someone doesn't respect us. A plan collapses, the economy shifts, people betray us. We demand that the world change, that others behave, that fate obey our wishes. And when it doesn't, frustration consumes us. I've lived those moments, checking the phone again and again for a reply that never comes, replaying a conversation wishing I had said something different, blaming circumstances for stealing my peace. But each time, the truth revealed itself. I was giving my power away to what I could never command. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher who was once a slave, taught the simplest but most liberating principle. Some things are up to us, and some are not. Entire philosophies, entire lives can be transformed by that one line. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, echoed the same. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Both men lived in vastly different positions, one a slave, one an emperor, yet they arrived at the same truth. Control is an inner game, never an outer one. The warning signs are clear. You're focusing on what you can't control when your energy drains, but no solution appears. When your mood depends entirely on other people's words, when one rejection, one obstacle, one rumor takes away your sleep. This is the danger, because when your peace depends on the uncontrollable, your peace is never safe. So, what is controllable? Your choices, your attitude, your words, your effort. The story you tell yourself about what's happening. A storm may rage outside, but courage, patience, and wisdom are within your reach at any moment. Modern psychology confirms what the Stoics already knew. People who focus on internal control live with greater resilience and less anxiety. Picture life as a circle. Inside the circle lies your mind, your habits, your reactions. Outside the circle lies everything else. Weather, politics, people's opinions, luck, fate. To try and expand your circle outward is to live in constant battle with reality. But to master what is inside is to finally experience freedom. Here's the challenge. The next time you feel powerless, stop and ask, is this mine to control? If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, act with discipline and courage. It's that simple, though never easy. Because in the end, peace isn't found in bending the world to your will. It's found in bending yourself to reality. When you focus only on what you can control, you don't just survive storms. You become the calm within them. Number 3, pause before you react. Have you ever said something in anger that you wished you could take back the very next second? Maybe you fired off a harsh message, slammed a door, raised your voice, and later, when the storm had passed, you wondered, why did I let myself lose control? That tiny space between what happens to us and how we respond to it is where our freedom and our downfall lives. Life constantly throws sparks at us. An insult, a disappointment, a delay, an unfair judgment. Most people react like dry wood. Sparks land, and immediately they burst into flame. But the Stoics taught us a radical truth. The spark itself doesn't burn us. It is our unguarded reaction that sets the fire. Epictetus put it sharply. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The danger of instant reaction is subtle but devastating. When we lash out without pause, we let others control us. Their words become our master. Their behavior dictates our state of mind. In that moment, we hand them the keys to our inner fortress, and once that fortress is breached, regret always follows. The damage is done to relationships, to trust, and most of all, to our own peace. But if we learn to pause, even for a breath, something remarkable happens. The pause creates space. In that space, thought can enter, wisdom can enter. You move from being a puppet of emotion to the director of your own mind. Marcus Aurelius, writing in his Meditations, reminded himself daily, if you are troubled by something external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. That power begins with the pause. Think of it like standing at a fork in the road. One path is reaction, immediate, emotional, destructive. The other path is response, measured, intentional, rooted in strength. The pause is the moment you decide which road to take. It doesn't have to be long. Sometimes just a single breath, a count of 3, or the thought, will this matter tomorrow, is enough to shift everything. Modern psychology backs this up. Studies on emotional regulation show that people who delay their reactions, even briefly, lower their stress levels, improve decision-making, and maintain healthier relationships. The pause isn't weakness, it's self-mastery. So the next time anger rises, or fear tempts you to lash out, challenge yourself. Hold the words back. Let silence do the work for you. If a reply is needed, let it come after reason has had its say. If no reply is needed, walk away with your peace intact. Because in the end, power doesn't belong to the one who shouts the loudest or strikes the fastest. Power belongs to the one who controls themselves when everything else is out of control. The pause before you react isn't hesitation. It's strength. It's the proof that you are free. Number 4. Transform fear into fuel. Fear. It's the invisible shadow that follows us everywhere. Before a big decision, before speaking your truth, before stepping into the unknown, it whispers in your ear. You can't. You'll fail. Stay safe. Most of us try to silence it, run from it, or pretend it's not there. But the more you resist fear, the stronger it becomes. Think back to a moment when fear held you hostage. Maybe it was the job you didn't apply for, the person you didn't approach, the dream you delayed because of what-ifs. That's how fear operates. It paralyzes, not with chains on your body, but with chains on your mind. The Stoics, however, saw fear differently. They didn't view it as an enemy to be destroyed, but as raw energy to be transformed. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is endurable, then endure it. If it is not, then stop complaining. Your mind can adapt to anything." Fear in this light is not a wall. It's fuel waiting to be redirected. Imagine fear as fire. Left unchecked, it burns you down. But when channeled, it cooks your food, lights your path, warms your home. The same heat that destroys can also create. Fear works the same way. If you step into it instead of away from it, the energy becomes drive, determination, even courage. Modern psychology supports this ancient truth. Athletes don't try to erase their per-game nerves. They frame them as excitement. Public speakers use adrenaline to sharpen focus. Soldiers are trained not to deny fear, but to act with it, letting it heighten awareness rather than cloud judgment. Fear is simply energy. It is your interpretation of it that determines whether it weakens or strengthens you. The danger lies not in fear itself, but in avoidance. Every time you retreat, the shadow grows. Every time you let fear dictate your choice, your world shrinks. Soon, you are living inside a cage you've built yourself. Comfortable, maybe, but lifeless. The Stoic way is not to seek a life without fear, but to build a self strong enough to transform it. When fear appears, ask, what is this trying to teach me? What strength can I build by facing it? Instead of saying, I'm afraid, tell yourself, this fear is energy, I will use it. That single shift changes paralysis into power. So, the next time fear whispers, don't run. Listen. Thank it for showing you where the growth lies. Then take one step forward anyway, because fear is not the enemy. Fear is the compass pointing you toward the places that matter most. In the end, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision to move through it, to seize its fire and make it your fuel. And once you learn to do that, nothing, no failure, no uncertainty, no shadow can stop you from living fully, freely, and fearlessly. Number 5. Stay anchored in reason. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. The wind howls, the waves crash, and people all around you are running in panic. Some scream, some fight, others collapse in despair. But then there is one figure who stands still, not because the storm is weaker for them, but because they are rooted deeper. That root, for the Stoic, is reason. In life, storms are inevitable. Arguments, betrayals, losses, sudden changes, and when emotions surge like violent tides, the instinct is to react, lash out in anger, drown in fear, or be swept away by anxiety. But the Stoics taught a different path. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Behind every word and every action must be reason, not impulse. Think of how often we regret what we did in the heat of emotion. A text sent in anger, a decision made in panic, a bridge burned in pride. Emotions are powerful waves. They rise high and fall fast. But reason is the anchor that keeps us from drifting into destruction. In modern life, this lesson is more vital than ever. Social media thrives on outrage. News cycles thrive on fear. Advertisers thrive on desire. Everywhere you look, forces are trying to pull you away from your center. Without reason, you are like a boat without ballast, tossed around by whatever emotion dominates the moment. But when you pause, breathe, and return to reason, you create space. Space to ask, is this true? Is this useful? Is this worth my energy? That pause is power. It shifts you from being controlled by your emotions to being the master of them. The danger of abandoning reason is that you become a slave. Slave to anger, to fear, to envy. You stop living by choice and start living by reaction. That is not freedom, that is chaos. And the Stoics knew that the true enemy is not the storm outside, but the storm within. Staying anchored in reason does not mean suppressing emotions. It means guiding them, using them as signals, not commands. Anger can show you where injustice lies, but reason decides how to address it. Fear can warn you of risk, but reason determines whether to proceed. Reason is the captain. Emotions are only the crew. So, the next time you feel yourself pulled by the storm, stop. Breathe. Remind yourself, I am not anger. I am not fear. I am the one who chooses. That choice, made again and again, is how you build unshakable strength. In the end, staying anchored in reason is about freedom. The freedom to live by principle, not by impulse. The storm will rage. The world will provoke, but you remain steady. Because you are not ruled by emotion, you are guided by wisdom. And that, as the Stoics knew, is the only way to sail through life with peace, no matter how rough the seas become. Number 6. Train for stillness. Picture a pond on a windy day. The surface ripples, bends, and shatters every reflection. Nothing can be seen clearly in the water. Now imagine that same pond when the air grows quiet. The surface becomes smooth as glass, and suddenly it reflects the sky, the trees, the truth of the world around it. Our minds are no different. When agitated, they distort reality. When still, they reveal it. Life, however, rarely gives us calm. We live in a time of noise, phones buzzing, news flashing, people shouting their opinions. We wake up with notifications and fall asleep to endless scrolling. In this constant turbulence, true stillness feels impossible. Yet the Stoics believe stillness is not a luxury. It is a discipline. Seneca wrote that nothing to the wise man is more valuable than the ability to retreat into himself and find calm no matter the storm outside. Think about how often you've made poor choices when restless or rushed. A hasty argument, a purchase you regret, a decision born out of fear. These are the costs of a turbulent mind. But when you practice stillness, even for a moment, you give yourself the ability to see things as they are, not as your emotions paint them. Training for stillness doesn't mean running away from life. It means preparing yourself for it. Just as a soldier sharpens his sword before battle, you train your mind in silence so that when chaos comes, you are unshaken. The world can shout, but you remain centered. Stillness does not mean inactivity. A mountain is still, yet it holds immense power. A deep ocean is still beneath the surface, yet it sustains life. In the same way, a still mind is not empty. It is full of strength, clarity, and resilience. From this place, you can respond with wisdom instead of reacting in impulse. The danger of never cultivating stillness is that you become ruled by noise. Your life is not your own. It belongs to every distraction, every demand, every fear. You move, but without direction. You act, but without purpose. The Stoics knew that the true enemy is not the chaos of the world, but the chaos within us when we never pause to breathe. So how do you train for stillness? You start small. A few minutes of silence each morning, a walk without your phone, a deep breath before you speak. These are not escapes. They are rehearsals. They condition your mind to stand firm when the world shakes. And when that moment comes, when others panic, when emotions boil, when the storm howls, you will not flinch. You will be like the pond after the wind passes, calm, reflective, unshaken. That is stillness, that is strength, and that is the freedom the Stoics trained for every day. Number 7, embrace change as a teacher. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff, watching a river carve its path through jagged rocks. The water never hesitates, never resists. It flows, adapts, and transforms the landscape over time. Life, like that river, is always moving, always changing. Yet so often, we resist it. We cling to what is familiar, we mourn what has passed, and we fear what is coming. The hard truth is that change is inevitable. Circumstances shift, relationships evolve, careers pivot, and bodies age. The moment we try to stop it, we create suffering. But the Stoics remind us that the world itself is in constant motion, and it is not the event that troubles us, but our judgment of it. Epictetus taught that it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Change, then, is not a foe. It is a teacher. Think about your own life. Perhaps you've lost a job, faced a breakup, or moved to a new city. Initially, the disruption feels like a blow, an injustice. But step back, and a lesson often reveals itself. Adversity exposes resilience. loss illuminates what truly matters. Uncertainty forces creativity and adaptability. The universe, in its wisdom, is guiding you to grow in ways you may not yet understand. Resisting change is like trying to hold sand in your hand. The tighter you grip, the more slips through your fingers. Embracing it requires letting go, observing, and learning. Imagine life as a classroom and every unexpected event as a patient teacher, waiting to show you new perspectives, skills, and strength. Modern life bombards us with illusions of permanence, yet nothing stays the same. Recognizing this truth gives us freedom. Instead of panic or frustration, we can ask, what can I learn from this? Every challenge becomes an opportunity to practice patience, courage, and insight. The danger of ignoring this lesson is living in fear, trapped in resistance. We become like a tree that refuses the wind, brittle, rigid, and easily broken. By embracing change, we become like bamboo, flexible, resilient, and able to bend without snapping. The Stoics teach that wisdom lies in accepting what we cannot control and using it to grow. When we shift our mindset from resistance to curiosity, from fear to learning, life transforms. Change ceases to be an enemy and becomes a lifelong mentor. Step forward into the flow. Let each shift, each disruption, each unexpected turn teach you. In time, you'll see that life's greatest lessons come dressed as change. And in embracing it, you gain clarity, strength, and freedom beyond circumstance. Conclusion: life will always throw unexpected changes, challenges, and disruptions our way. From small daily inconveniences to major life-altering events, these moments test our patience, resilience, and mindset. But Stoic philosophy teaches us that how we respond, what we choose to focus on, how we interpret, and the actions we take, is entirely within our control. When we focus on what we can control, pause before reacting, transform fear into fuel, practice amor fiat, stay anchored in reason, train for stillness, and embrace change as a teacher, we create a life built on strength, clarity, and purpose. Each principle is a tool, a way to navigate the storms of life without being swept away. The beauty of Stoicism is that it does not promise a life without difficulty. It promises mastery over our inner world. By internalizing these strategies, sudden disruptions no longer feel like enemies. They become lessons, opportunities, and stepping stones toward personal growth. This mindset allows you to live with courage, calmness, and a sense of freedom, even in the most turbulent times. If you've found value in these insights, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who might need this guidance, and subscribe for more content on practical philosophy and personal growth. Let these Stoic strategies become more than ideas. Let them become a way of living. Because when you learn to navigate life's chaos with reason and resilience, you are no longer reacting to the world. You are mastering it.